So I got into a little Twitter feud with this YouTuber named Polydice. And Polydice actually has a pretty impressive following on YouTube. It's not like great. It's not like PewDiePie or anything, but he does get tens of thousands of views. I think some of his videos have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. And he's a pretty big lefty. He usually goes after right-wing YouTubers like PragerU and Crowder and whatnot from what I've seen. But I haven't watched him in a while, but he came after me on Twitter the other day because I retweeted Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was complaining about how, oh, you know, the $8.99 a month you give to Netflix, that $8.99 is more than all the federal taxes they paid last year, which was zero. Boo-hoo-hoo is what I said. I retweeted him and I said, well, I don't really care. You know, I give that money to Netflix in exchange for entertainment. After that, I really don't care if any of that money goes to the government. If I really wanted the government, this is what I said in the tweet, if I really wanted the government to have more money, I would just take my refund check every year and put it right in the shredder. I want Netflix. I think Netflix should pay the least amount in taxes they're legally allowed, which I don't think they're breaking any laws, because if they were, Bernie Sanders probably wouldn't be crying about it on Twitter. Oh my God, my stream went down. Are you kidding me? No, it didn't. If they were really breaking the law, Bernie Sanders wouldn't be crying about it on Twitter. Bernie Sanders would probably get the resources necessary to go shake Netflix down. So, Polydice came across this tweet. He doesn't follow me. And he decided to retweet me, totally missing the point. Saying, oh, just because I give... Actually, let's bring it up right here. He said, I didn't pay for a Netflix subscription with the explicit intent of it going to the government. Therefore, Netflix should pay zero taxes. That was the impression he got from that. And he said, but that's not how taxes work. Yeah, I know how taxes work. And so I replied when he retweeted me saying that. I said, yeah, I don't really care if Netflix pays taxes. And I clarified that the money that Netflix receives from their customers is not your money to take. It's not the government's money to take. And yeah, again, Netflix has a responsibility to maximize shareholder profits and shareholder wealth as possible, because they exist to make money. They don't exist to create wealth so that the government can come and tax it. So as a result, they have a responsibility to reduce their tax burden as much as they possibly can. Of course, Polydice was he's pretty selective with what he wanted to retweet of me. He didn't address that point at all. Rather, one of his followers got into it with me on his on this thread and said, "Oh, so you think the government shouldn't do anything? What about Social Security, military, and the roads?" He brought up those three. And I responded by saying that the proper role of government is to protect individual rights and property rights. Which I know I say ad nauseum on Twitter and on my videos, but it's an important axiom to note, because if you do not define the proper role of government, then anything goes, essentially. That is a fundamental principle that you should address whenever you find a disagreement with someone on politics. And I clarified, military, yes, that is a proper function of government. Social Security, no, that should be phased out. Roads, 50-50 on, although I did say that a lot of the roads probably could be privatized and should. I know I'm probably wrong for giving any leeway on the issue of roads, but whatever. Please explain in the comments on how I'm right or wrong on that. But yeah, I know like the big justification for the Interstate Freeway Act is a military purpose. It's for the sake of if we're ever attacked, then we can easily mobilize troops and supplies and easily mobilize it to whichever front we're being attacked on. That's the justification for the Interstate Freeway Act. But, so Polydice decided to retweet this point, ignoring my first reply. Didn't want to address that. And he said, Social Security should be phased out, huh? You want to put that up to a vote? That was his big gotcha. You want to put it up to a vote? I don't know. Do you want to put free speech up to a vote right now? Do you want to put religious freedom up to a vote? That's where I eventually led to. Do you want to put slavery up to a vote? You just want to put all that... You just want to put anything up to a vote? Maybe he does. I don't know. But I thought it was fascinating, first off, he didn't want to address the proper role of government piece, which is more important, more fundamental. I mean, if you're really going to take me down, isn't that the Jenga block you want to kick out first? What the proper role of government should be? So you take me down on that, then you really take me down. But maybe Polydice, maybe he didn't think it was important, or maybe he was too afraid. Since I did, he didn't really want to take me on fundamental issues. Like whether or not the money Netflix makes from their customers, whether or not that's his money to take, didn't want to address that. Didn't want to talk about the proper role of government. No, he chose Social Security because that's safe for him because the majority of Americans agree with it. I also thought it was a weird pivot considering that Social Security... And going back to what his follower asked of me about the roads, those are not funded through corporate taxes like what Netflix would pay if Bernie Sanders got his way. If I recall correctly, Social Security is paid for, is funded through income taxes and payroll taxes. In other words, even if Netflix paid $300 million or say $2 billion or $475, whatever it is, even if they paid that in federal corporate taxes, that doesn't go to fund Social Security, so it doesn't really make a difference. It's a weird pivot. Same with roads. Roads, I believe, are funded largely through fuel consumption taxes. So when a semi-truck goes to the gas station, or when you go to the gas station to fill up your Honda Civic or your Ford Focus or whatever it is, you pay a tax, and that tax goes to fund the roads that you're about to drive on. I don't think that even if Netflix paid $2 billion more in taxes, that money wouldn't go to fund the roads or Social Security. Pretty sure that's the case. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone. But also, yeah, it doesn't matter if the majority of Americans... If the majority of people agree with you, and I asked him, if the majority of Americans wanted a theocracy, would you just throw your hands in the air and say, well, the people have spoken. Guess we have to give up religious liberty. Guess we have to be forced by law to obey Scripture because we can't question the majority. And I was actually surprised. He kind of doubled down on it. He said that, well, maybe if 75% of the country wanted theocracy, I'd find another hill to die on. As if that was a hill I was choosing to die on. I mean, I did respond to this point. saying that, no, it's not a hill that I choose to die on. It is consistent with my view on what the proper role of government is, which he does not want to challenge. He still has not challenged me on that point. I mean, is that how he views political issues? They're just every political issue from what the minimum wage should be to what curriculum should be taught in public schools to free speech to tax rates to welfare programs, to which countries we should drone, if we should even use drones, whether or not we should have a space program. All of these are just different hills to die on in his view. They're all they're not tied to anything consistent, not tied to any specific standard, just random ass hills to die on. Is that how he thinks about politics? I get the sense that he does. He just thinks of everything as a different hill to die on. But then he also added, well, maybe you should think about why so many people like Social Security. Again, that's not a reasonable argument. 70% of Americans believe in some form of religion. Does that mean I should believe in some form of religion? Does that mean I should think, I disagree with them, but maybe they have a reason. Maybe it's rational in some end. Maybe I should think about joining a religion myself. Or going back to my theocracy argument, would you think, man, it really sucks being forced to obey Scripture, but 75% of people seem to like it, so they must have a point? No rational person would think like this. And that was all of his arguments, essentially, was, hey, most people disagree with you. He was just trying to use these lame-ass, weak intimidation arguments. And he did not want to address anything fundamental.
The corporal gets the draw. Over to Leonard. A good check by Dumont. Leonard. Now Raptor. There's the shot. Dumont now with the puck. The 10. Lets it loose. Raptor.
I mean, not to mention, Social Security is it's on track. According to the Social Security Administration themselves, according to their own reports, it's on track to become insolvent within the next 10 to 15 years. Which means they're probably going to have to raise taxes to avoid it from collapsing entirely. I think Medicare and Medicaid are on a quicker track to become insolvent. But the issue he does not want to address is the fact that it does require force. That people don't voluntarily pay into Social Security. No, they have money siphoned from their paychecks every week, every 2 weeks, however frequent they get their paychecks, every month. 12%, technically 6%, because technically the employer pays the other 6%, I know. Although that's probably money that they could be paying to you if there wasn't a Social Security tax. What could I be doing with that money if it wasn't being taken away from me? I could be saving for my own future. I could be saving to open a business. I could be saving it in my own retirement account. I think I know how to invest my money better than government bureaucrats do, considering that they're operating at a $23 trillion deficit. And, or debt, I should say, operating at nearly a $1 trillion annual deficit. And we want to trust these people with saving for our retirement. And there have been plenty of studies from economists who have demonstrated that, if you just took the money that Social Security was taking from your paycheck every month, if you put that in a Roth IRA or an index fund consistently, then by the time you reach 65, there are some studies that suggest that you would receive over 3 times as much as what you would get from Social Security. That's how much money you would have in your Roth IRA, and because it'd be generating that insane amount of interest. But no, you don't get that, right? Because the government, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, they know how to invest your money better than you do. Or what about the people who don't make it to 65? What about the people who work until they're 52, 55, 57? They have 6 to 12% of their income, however you want to look at it. Just 6 to 12% of their income over that many years just siphoned from their paycheck, and then they die from a car accident. They get murdered. They get killed in some disaster storm. Whatever, they get a disease, whatever it is. And they die, and they never get to see that money. Is that right?
Now the corporal. Save! Francis gets alone. Shoots. Raptor now with the puck. Now Raptor. The corporal. Sends it over.
Someone like Pauly Dice would probably say, yeah, because, it's for the greater good. It's for the public interest. And that's when you get down to the nitty-gritty, that's what it's all about. That they're okay with force. People like Pauly Dice, they're fine with using force, so long as they can justify it as in the common interest, the public good, okay? He doesn't want to address that point. The fact that his beautiful welfare programs like Social Security do, in fact, require force. He doesn't want to deal with the fact that the money he wants to take from Netflix isn't his, and he doesn't want to deal with big questions like what the proper role of government is.